Oh, well, hello there, you beautiful, wonderful, amazing, intelligent human. I'm Andrea Dawn, and today we are here looking at more yoga asana, or the physical postures of the yoga practice. And it's always my aim or goal to help bring some awareness around how that physical practice can lead to a deeper understanding of ourselves. So today we're going to explore plank pose or Phalakasana. And I think the beauty of this posture is its ability to tap into our tapas, our heat, our agni, our internal fire, so that we can understand discipline as an aid and something that really helps us cultivate freedom. So let's dive in. I think it's really important that we don't just go straight to the physicality and that we make it a point to dismantle the system that has arisen in the West of yoga equaling physical. So to do that, to dismantle that programming, it means we need to start caring about the depth behind the practice. And so by encountering that first, or by engaging with that first, we start to dismantle that program. Each posture in the physical yoga practice has a Sanskrit name ending in asana, meaning seat or posture. And today we'll explore plank pose. Plank pose is known as both Phalakasana and Kumbhakasana in Sanskrit. Phalakasana seems to be more common, and thus we will break down the Sanskrit for it. We see phala, which means to bear fruit or to ripen, and we also see phalaka, which means plank or board, as well as asana, which means seat or posture. The origins of plank pose in the physical practice are a bit murky, and I could not find a source dating it to a historical text. Regardless, plank pose is a popular and extremely beneficial posture practice in many movement and strength modalities. This brings us to the why behind Phalakasana. While our conditioning might fast forward our thinking to immediately associate any yoga posture with its purely physical benefit, it is that very conditioning that lies at the heart of the why behind all of yoga. The physical postures are portals that gives us access to more subtle aspects of our being, such as the unconscious patterns of our thoughts, of which result in our behavior. By working with the most dense layer of ourself, our physicality, we awaken our awareness to places and spaces that have either been dormant, unacknowledged, or suppressed. So while it might look like we are generically doing a plank pose or a downward facing dog, we are really developing the skill of presence and accessing a deeper level of knowing who we are and why we are. This is the kind of examination necessary to achieve the goal of yoga, Svarupe Vastanam, or to reside in your true nature. That nature is a mystery to most of us. Yoga is the map to the hidden treasure of your truth. The physical why behind Phalakasana is more so about the strength and the stretch. Plank benefits the entire physical body, the arms, the legs, the glutes, the shoulders, the wrists, yet it is mainly associated with the strengthening of the core body. Holding plank pose will increase your stamina and your stability in all other postures. Asana classes may use plank as a standalone posture, as well as a transition between other postures. We can note its place in the sequence of a vinyasa, from plank to chaturanga to upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Phalakasana can have symbolic, metaphoric, and meaningful significance to our own personal whys. When we consider the Sanskrit translation, we see phala, which we said means to bear fruit and to ripen. So how do we as humans ripen or bear fruit? How do we make ourselves available and ready to be and give all that we truly are? We must remove all that we are not. Consider all that we are not our impurities. So what is impure about me is my false belief that I'm not intelligent, and my incorrect assumption that all men are assholes because I dated one asshole, and my belief that the core of me is rotten because I made some rotten choices. All of this garbage needs to be burned and removed so that my uppercase I can rise out of those ashes. This is done with tapas. Tapas is the third niyama, and the niyamas are the second limb in the yogic system, which consist of responsibilities that we cultivate for our self-development. Tapas can be described as building internal heat and discipline. When we challenge ourselves, whether it be in our thoughts and beliefs or in our plank pose, we burn away the dysfunction and build our muscle of discernment. And I love finding all of the ways that we can make our physical practice have more meaning. So when I'm holding that plank pose, when I want to stop, when I want to give up, I can remember how by simply holding that plank pose, I'm developing the strength, the skill, the ability, the determination so that I can challenge all of those things in my belief systems, which is a much harder, more subtle thing to do, which is why we start with the dense layer of our physicality. It translates to a deeper way of learning about ourselves and then deciding who it is that we want to be and what we need to remove so that we can be that uppercase I. So let's explore now plank pose in its physicality. There's many ways that you can come into plank pose. I'm going to show you from all fours, but oftentimes it's done from a downward facing dog. But from all fours, we're going to come onto our hands and spread them about shoulder width distance. And this is something you can explore and experiment with. They might be slightly wider than shoulder width distance. I'm going to put them directly underneath my shoulders, spread the fingers, grip through the finger pads. Okay? And now from here, I just want to find a neutral spine. So to do that, I'm going to go to the edges and tip the tail up, right? And then I'm going to tip the tail down. So I'm going to find extension. I'm going to find flexion. So I find the edges of both, and then I'm going to find what's in the middle because I want to keep the natural curvature of my back. So once I find that middle ground, now I'm going to engage the core by lifting the navel up towards the spine. Good. And I'm going to make sure I'm not hyperextending my elbows, right? So notice when I'm hyperextending, I want to keep a little micro bend. I'm pushing the floor down, keeping the shoulders strong, slightly turning the eye of the elbow forward and drawing my armpit or my lat back. And that will help find more room in the head and the neck to reach forward. Now from here, I'll extend one leg. The toes are tucked. And then I'll extend the other leg. And again, it's about hip width distance, so think about 2 fists width distance. I want to make sure that I'm not drooping, and I want to make sure that I'm not piking, but I'm finding that neutral place. And again, I'm drawing my armpits back, my shoulders back so that my crown can reach forward. I'm engaging my quads, lifting up through my hamstrings. So I'm thinking about lifting my kneecaps and pressing my heels back. Okay? Now there's many variations of plank pose that you can engage in. If that's hard on your wrists, you could try doing it with fists. So you could be here. You could try coming onto forearms and doing a forearm plank. You could be on hands and knees, right? So you would just walk the knees back and try plank position from here before you lift the legs. If you want to make it more intense, you can do things like be on the tops of your feet. Right? That'll stretch out the front of your feet and your ankles. You can do things like finding taps. You can do things like rolling from side to side or crossing the feet, right? Or things like mountain climbers. So many different variations that you can play with to make it exactly what you need in your practice. And just remember that when you're practicing it, you are cultivating, you are finding the ability, the skill, the strength to increase your tapas, because that discipline, that commitment, while it might seem paradoxical, is what gives you the freedom for you to find your presence, because it removes all that is blocking your presence, right? Because it is those beliefs that block you from hearing the birds chirp, from seeing the blue sky. And in our presence is where our peace lies. So we have to be able to remove all of what is not so that we can be what we are. Always a blessing, honor, and privilege. Come back for more. Next, we will be exploring side plank or Vashisthasana. Peace, 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 shanti, shanti, shanti. Namaste, yogis.